This video is going to be a film study look at Jameson Williams. Clearly, he was unable to have any impact at all in the Lions' loss to the Ravens in Week 7. I do want to caution people against overreaction to a young guy who has clearly struggled to begin his career to get on the field. There's no doubt about that. And when you look at the statistical contribution, 21 total targets, only 5 catches in his career, there's going to be people who are alarmed and overreact. And I understand that. What I will do in this video is show you a little bit from the Bucs game. I think 2 plays. Go over 4 or 5 of the targets against the Ravens, and then offer some suggestions for other types of routes that he could be targeted on, or at least make himself available on, be utilized in that way. Because if you look at a guy like Josh Reynolds, who's got, I think, 21 catches and 20 of them for first downs, or maybe it's 19 out of 21, something like that. He's not being targeted on those 40, 50-yard plays like Jameson Williams is. I don't know how many of his 21 career targets field. I don't pretend that it's more than half. My point is, it seems to me some of the stuff he's being targeted on is a lower percentage target than some of the routes that other guys get made available to them. Maybe that's a Jameson Williams issue. I don't know, but just watching him, from a Ravens fan's perspective, he's scary. He just is. I understand that, he dropped the ball, hit off his face mask. Look, it's a great play by Rock Ya-Sin. It probably is a penalty on Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin's a starting level corner in the NFL. He could start for our team. He did for like 3 games. We've just got the type of DB talent now that everyone's healthy that Rock Ya-Sin was only in the 4th quarter. I think Jameson Williams is the kind of guy who could explode for 2 touchdowns in a quarter or a half, and I don't mind putting that out on video format for people to hold me to it later on. I think those days are coming for you guys. I do. I'm not sure, really, to be honest with you, about what went on with the O-line struggles in pass pro so much against the Ravens. I think the Ravens had 5 sacks. The Ravens are just accumulating sacks from so many different places and so many different guys. I think the Lions staff was caught off guard by that. And when you combine that with the early inability to run the ball with any effectiveness, the offense was just short-circuited. And what's that got to do with Jameson Williams? Well, the whole offense wasn't in sync. It just wasn't. You did get, over the course of the game, you got tremendous contribution from Amon-Ra St. Brown. No surprise there. He's one of the best players in the NFL. And Jahmyr Gibbs had 20 touches. So that's a bright spot, if you ask me, getting him such usage. To me, I think Jameson Williams has the athleticism, the burst, and the change of direction to be used on more routes than just some of the ones that we saw in the Ravens game. And it's a small sample size that I'm going to show you from the Ravens game. Like I said, it's only 4 or 5 targets. And there is a lot of talent there on the team in terms of receiver and tight end. Laporta, Josh Reynolds, like I mentioned, St. Brown, Raymond, who got hurt, and hopefully he's okay. Let's get to some of the film. He was used on 33 snaps against the Ravens, was unable to generate any plays like a couple of the ones that he had against the Bucs. But he's a guy who's going to get off coverage like you see up here at the top of the screen because of his ability to get downfield in a hurry and beat people deep like you see on this 45-yard touchdown pass from Goff. That's, maybe a little bit off target in Week 6 against the Bucs. Is Jameson Williams going to be able to do stuff like this every week? Well, no, this doesn't happen every week in the NFL, unless your name is Randy Moss or Jamar Chase in 2021 or Tyreek Hill in 2023. He's up at the top of the screen here, by the way. I showed this route last week during the video, and I just wanted to mention it because this is the NFL. Everyone out here is an incredible athlete, particularly at the receiver DB position. The change of direction here is what the stop on a dime and just leave the guy. Yeah, I want to see him used on these deep routes, and I know you guys do too, and clearly Ben Johnson does. I would like to see him used on more stuff like this or dig routes coming back into the middle of the field. Of course, you got to have time to do that, and the protection for the Lions was, for my money at least, it was the worst that we had seen, yet this year against the Ravens on Sunday. Let's get to some of the film from the Ravens game. This is first quarter. I think he catches this ball, but I haven't seen the replay. It looks like I guess he's out of bounds. His upper body is out of bounds. Look, man, the corner he's going against here, Brandon Stephens, this guy's playing fantastic. And it's okay if you don't know that because he's not a name player. Brandon Stephens is all over everyone that he's guarding this year. And the crazy thing from a Ravens perspective is in the preseason, he was a guy who gave up catches to non-starters. It's just there's been a switch that's flipped, and he's been making the windows small there's not really very many places for Goff to throw the football to make it a higher percentage catch. I do think Williams caught the football, but I do think he's out of bounds, so it doesn't go down as a statistical catch clearly. Third quarter, incomplete top side to Williams. He's going to get bumped, I think, by Arthur Millette on his way to this deep curl comeback. The top of the numbers, he kind of gets expanded, and I think that's what messes up the timing a little bit. See where he starts his route, and then where he ends up bending it out to. His alignment right now is at the top of the numbers, and because of Millette expanding, he ends up ending up at the bottom of the numbers and coming back in. I suspect that maybe that's one of the reasons why the timing is not there, and the ball is slightly late in terms of him being able to make a play on it without Stevens recovering. But again, man, Stevens is just athletic. He's playing extremely well, and that's the type of play right there that he's been making all year long through 7 games so far. And us as Ravens fans, we're just hoping that it continues. Because when we lost Marcus Peters, we were worried about how we were going to replace him. Rock Ya-Sin was the replacement. He got hurt in training camp. We brought in Ronald Darby. He started for 2 or 3 games. And Brandon Stevens has just come out of nowhere to be a out-of-this-world starter right now for us. So for Jameson Williams to have incomplete passes against Brandon Stevens, don't knock him down for that. All right, this is a 4th and 1, and this one is a little bit unfortunate. Jameson Williams in the slot. The Ravens' coverages are really good. We're playing excellent pass defense, and I think the slight bump by Kyle Hamilton kind of knocks him off track. But this ball to me looks like it's poorly thrown by Jared Goff, who did deal with pressure at various times during the day. This is a 4th and 1, On the previous play, it was a 3rd and 1. You guys were on the football, unable to generate anything at all. Wouldn't want to have to take a shot downfield on a 4th and 1. The game's over at this point. To convert a 4th down, you can see that Goff has the ability to throw the football here. I think this ball was thrown quite poorly to Jameson Williams, who's bringing it into the middle of the field. But even if he throws it on that track, Geno Stone is probably in a position to be able to respond to the route in the middle of the field. I wonder if some of these things don't need to be snapped down in front of the safety level so that Jameson Williams has the opportunity to catch more balls, on routes like this one coming from the opposite side of the field. I don't think he's just a deep ball threat. It's fine with me if people will look at the stats and are like, man, you're defending a guy who has 5 catches on 21 targets. Yeah, I am. The dude's like, was he 23 years old? By the way, Ravens, we have a receiver named Rashad Bateman that has gotten a lot of criticism for being injured, missing a lot of time. And I still believe in his talent, to be honest with you. Jameson Williams probably has more. It's a great play by Rock Ya-Sin. And this is the type of thing. This is 4th quarter late. The game's over. Rock Ya-Sin is in for Brandon Stevens. We got him off the field. And this is a great play, man. I mean, maybe Jameson Williams, somebody said he showed his hands too early. I mean, when the ball's there, he's got to show his hands, number 1. Number 2, Rock Ya-Sin's a good corner. He made 2 stops, not on deep balls like this, but he made 2 stops against Jamar Chase in our week 2 win over the Bengals, where as soon as Jamar Chase showed hands, he's able to rip the ball out. This is what he does. Is the same play from the end zone angle, by the way. I don't know, man. You're a Lions fan, and you're probably still upset about the loss as well. You should be. It was an opportunity to go in there and really stake your claim as one of the best teams in the NFL. This is he got his hand ripped down here by Rock Ya-Sin. It's a smart play by Rock Ya-Sin. It very easily could have been a penalty for contact just before the ball there. Personally, I don't think it is a penalty, but I got no problem if somebody wants to say that it should be. It's still a brilliant play by Rock Ya-Sin. Give him credit for ripping down and not giving Jameson Williams the opportunity to catch the ball with 2 hands. Only 1 hand available last target. And then I'll show you some plays that I think would be options for Jameson Williams in terms of future targets. This is a vertical. I think this ball is possibly got to be a little bit further up the field. It reminds me a little bit of that touchdown against the Bucs from the standpoint of Goff is maybe having trouble finding out the timing with Jameson Williams on these deep balls, but deep balls by definition, by nature, are going to be less accurate, less high percentage throws. It doesn't surprise me that his catch percentage to overall targets would be lower. These are some of the routes that I would suggest maybe Jameson Williams could be utilized on. I think Reynolds is up at the top of the screen against Green Bay week 4. Play action where Goff is booting out and then to the boundary. when you see Jameson Williams take off, and he's going to have a faster get off than you got right now from Josh Reynolds, you're going to get depth as a DB. These are the types of routes bringing it back to the sideline if you want to improve his catch percentage, if you want to open up his route tree some, make him more available. But, you don't need to replace Josh Reynolds. He's having a great season, in my opinion. But from a Jameson Williams perspective, if people want to see him get more involved, if the coaching staff wants to get him more involved, vary his route tree some. These are some of the types of things they can make him available on. This is very similar, obviously, to the route against Brandon Stevens that he ran, the first play I showed you from Week 7 here. Down here to the bottom side of the screen, it's a third down. Reynolds going to come underneath. And again, this is the type of thing where I think Williams could be used on against man coverage and just run away from people. Force defenders to make decisions, force coaches, I should say, to make decisions. Do we want to play man in these situations? He did play 33 snaps against the Ravens. I think he played 16 snaps against the Bucs and 28 against the Panthers. And right now on the season, you're talking about 4 catches on 12 targets. So certainly there's people that are going to be upset about the numbers and the lack of production. I wouldn't give up on the guy yet. I think this is Reynolds kind of like sailing this in and bringing it back to the sideline against the Chiefs in Week 1. This is one that I would like to see as well, especially against some of these coverages where you see people are going to switch it. This is basically, I would say, two read or palms, where the corner's taking over to out by 2, and the safety's got to deal with the vertical. It could be a vertical by 1. It could be a post. In this case, Reynolds brings it out, and I think it ends up being incomplete. Against some of these teams that play two read or some of this quarters coverages, I'd like to see Williams used on some of those switch routes, kind of like I showed right here. You guys let me know what your thoughts are about Jameson Williams so far, his play, how he's been utilized. Am I saying he's being misutilized? Well, no. He had opportunities to make plays against the Ravens, and he didn't make them. He's a young guy. It doesn't surprise me that he's still trying to work through some growing pains, let's put it that way. It is still a small sample size as well. So I would caution against overreaction towards a young guy who has a ton of ability, number one. Number two, who the coaching staff does trust. They gave him opportunities to make plays on Sunday, and he was unable to do so. You're going up against a Raiders team on Monday Night Football at home next week that has given up big plays in the past game, and I think Jameson Williams is a guy who could have 2 touchdowns and a half very easily against the Raiders or anybody else. There's so much ability there. Ben Johnson does a great job, I think, of putting people in conflict, having this weapon available every week. I think just gives him more options. I'd like to see him utilize him slightly differently at times, to give him more intermediate routes, deeper routes to the sideline to get Jameson Williams some catches, kind of get him going. You guys let me know what you think of my thoughts in the comment section. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this look at Jameson Williams, because I know it's a hot topic for Lions fans right now, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.